We still love a good old physical retail video game box here at gameranx, and we love them even more when they come with exciting surprises and weirder stuff. From collector's editions to limited editions to regular old retail cardboard and plastic packaging, we got 10 cool examples, so let's get started off with number 10 and talk about the Batman Arkham Origins Collector's Edition. First of all, Arkham Origins, just want to say, got a lot of flack when it first released, myself included a little bit, but years later, man, this is the underrated one, and definitely worth revisiting for a cool, kind of different take on the Arkham stuff set up by Rocksteady. Anyway, soapbox over. What I'm trying to say is that this game came with a really cool collector's edition, if you were willing to pony up the cash, and it was a really cool Joker statue with him at a table surrounded by money, crime stuff, TVs, the like. A very cool display, especially for Joker fans in particular, with this different, slightly younger interpretation of him. But what people realize is that this collector's edition had a little secret compartment that came with a little plastic baggie. That plastic bag actually had a spoiler warning printed on it, and what was in that plastic bag? A black mask head, which you could swap out for the Joker's head, which was really cool if you think about it because of the whole story thing, and they actually tried to account for that with this hunk of expensive plastic. Yes, because of the game kind of doing the whole it was the Joker all along, and Black Mask kind of got kicked to the wayside halfway through the game, it was nice to see that you could still kind of get your own little Black Mask statue if you're a Black Mask fan, at least like I was. Just a really nice surprise overall, especially for hardcore Batman fans. Now, next over at number 9, let's talk Borderlands 3 and the box art secrets. A lot of people got to work on all these little hidden details on the highly detailed and over-the-top box art that they actually released prior to the game's launch, and fans got to work finding a bunch of stuff. We'll link everything we talk about down in the description below, source the best we can. There are number-based codes that translate to "we don't speak of Sanctuary 2." There's also been some Morse code type phrases that translate to "who is the destroyer" and "where is the first vault hunter." Just tons of Easter eggs abound in this box art, but the coolest thing, the thing we enjoyed the most, is the fact that a lot of the gold guns in the background have like little letters and numbers like scratched into them, and they actually form a code for DLC. Gives you some special loot, some cool stuff. Borderlands all about loot, so it makes sense that they would have something like this, but they really just went the extra mile, and it's super cool. We don't have time to talk about all of the secrets on this box, but it is literally littered with them. And huge shout out to the very dedicated Borderlands community for figuring this stuff out. Next over at number 8, let's talk about the newest God of War and the cloth map secret. This one's pretty intense. The physical special edition of the game came with this really cool cloth map. It was a really cool, just quality, nice map to have, but YouTube user BRKSEDU kind of started this whole rabbit hole chase when they deduced that all the little runes that are around the entire map aren't just for show, that they'd actually be an actual phrase. So Reddit and the God of War community got to work translating all of these runes, which essentially tell a deeper story of the blacksmith dudes, the hilarious guys Brock and Sindri, and it's written kind of like a myth, kind of like a tale where they did this and then they did this, so it kind of led to a wild goose chase in-game for players trying to figure something out, and ultimately it boiled down to you going to a special spot in Muspelheim Tower, and like the rune story suggests, you look at these two braziers in rapid succession, and then it unlocks a special pommel for you. As you probably know, the axe pommels in the game are part of the whole upgrade system, and this one was a pretty badass one. It was called the Forbidden Grip of the Ages, and it just gives you a bunch of good stats and a cool kind of like AoE concussion blast with your strike. So it was definitely worth the hunt, but I think regardless of the reward, the fact that players were able to translate all of this whole story through these runes and follow this chase and figure out what it is incredibly impressive, and we commend them for it. Next over at number 7, Grand Theft Auto 5, the game that released many years ago that we'll still just never stop talking about. Well, the collector's edition, which was pretty sweet, the Grand Theft Auto ones always are my personal favorites, it came with a big old map. What someone realized is that on both sides of this map, if you shine a UV light on it, you can actually see a bit more stuff. Shout out to whoever was just hanging out in their room with ultraviolet lighting that happened to notice this. Players really got to work on this one and found a bunch of cool stuff. stuff. On the one side, the map is revealed to be like a Trevor Phillips Enterprises style heist map, but throughout the map there's a bunch of notes pointing to cool little things and kind of like mysterious instructions and vague type of stuff that players have found some goodies in the world. It's got stuff for the altruist camp, it's got stuff for Fort Zancudo, the observatory. It's all really cool stuff, and apparently, according to the Grand Theft Auto wiki, some of the instructions on this map remain unsolved, with a lot of people thinking that it's just continues to contribute to the Mount Chiliad mystery and the aliens and the secret etchings and all that stuff. Grand Theft Auto 5 really is the gift that keeps on giving. Next at number 6, the Undertale Special Edition came with something really cool if you looked closely. It was kind of just the printout design as you see here, shout out to the user, where down in small letters at the bottom it says, "Wow, a true scour, huh? But did you find the real annoying dog? He's the one with the telltale wink and grin. Good luck." And so sure enough, it kind of just leads you down a fun little wild goose chase to find the real annoying dog. And this reference of the game is very cool to see, but it's actually very fine to hard just because of the quality of the printing. But people did find the one slightly different real annoying dog. This was kind of fun because it reminds us of like the old cereal boxes, the way every box of cereal had some fun little puzzle or maze or hidden secret type of thing or hidden message inside. Just reminded us of the good old days, and we like to see stuff like that. Isn't Undertale great? Now next at number 5, you remember the really cool hit indie game Inside, the follow-up to Limbo? Well, it had a really special collector's edition. I think that's putting it lightly. So the game released, people really enjoyed it, myself included, and then the developers and publishers revealed a $375 collector's edition that was up for pre-order where you could plunk down the cash, and then it didn't show up for like a year later. That's whatever. You know, the price is ridiculous, and the pre-order was a ways off. But it was the fact of who's manufacturing it that made people go wild. It was made by Real Doll, a company famous for specializing in making, you know, sex dolls, like realistic ones. I don't know, man. Well, they were working with Inside, and although you could pre-order this thing for $375 with a pretty far off ship date, they wouldn't tell you what was inside the box, what you were paying for. Some people could assume certain things, especially if you played the game, but still, you were kind of taking a gamble. Well, thankfully, once the thing finally showed up for the brave people that did pre-order it, what you get is the creature from the end of the game, realistically recreated with weird plastic skin-like material. It's all rubbery and gross, just like it was in the game. It also comes with the kid protagonist as well, and some cool concept art cards and stuff, but like the main thing, the obvious Real Doll product, was this gross, gooey, hulking mass of limbs that was so horrifying in the game. So shout out to the makers and publishers of Inside for going for something like this. That's crazy. Next, over at number 4, we're going to kick it old school with Startropics. This game on the NES in the physical cardboard box came with a little paper note on the inside. It had to do with the story. It was from your uncle in the game, but believe it or not, you had to put it in water to see the secret on the letter because it was written in invisible ink. That letter has a code that you need in the game, and it was 747, and it wasn't an optional thing. You needed to figure this out. You needed to find this code. And if you were that age at the time as a kid, just like dipping something in water to reveal invisible ink for your video game was just mind-blowing and super cool. So we had to give it a shout out because that was just truly special. And what's also really funny is that like they re-released the game on Nintendo Switch, and it doesn't have that code, so you just needed to figure that out yourself. Thank God for the internet. Now down to number 3, a brief one that we just wanted to highlight because it's funny. The Bard's Tale. The original Bard's Tale on the disc had a funny Easter egg. We've talked about this in other videos, but essentially at the bottom of the disc, like before the platform label, it says, "For a really disturbing image, flip disc over." And then of course you flip the disc over and haha, it's reflective and it shows your dumb ugly mug. We just really wanted to highlight this because we appreciate a game that is willing to own you, like own the customer. Like, great job, thanks for spending $60 on me, but now we're going to insult you. I think we all need a little of that sometimes, and it's really funny. Now down to number 2, we've got a recent one, and that is Assassin's Creed Valhalla. The collector's edition packaging of the game did have secret Isu writing on it. The Isu, of course, is like the ancient sci-fi civilization in the Assassin's Creed series, and dedicated Assassin's Creed fans were able to translate this. Shout out to Access the Animus for being one of the first to really dedicate themselves and figure this stuff out. This translation leads you to get Nodin's Arc Bow in the game, one of the most powerful, cool, over-the-top bows you can get. Now, another player did actually get access to this item first without doing the full rune translation. The developers revealed that that was kind of like the brute force way to do it. But still, we wanted to point out the dedication of translating the Isu language and the runes and all that, because it is truly impressive. And that's not the only Assassin's Creed Valhalla secret. Really, this is just another example of the community doing what it does best, getting to the bottom of things and figuring it out. So, to Access the Animus, to Joe Raptor, to JV, just shout out to all of you for figuring out this stuff and having fun while doing it. Now down to number 1, we wanted to highlight one of our favorites, of course, here. Stop us if you've heard this one before, but we still think it's one of the best. It's the Meryl Silverberg codec code from the original Metal Gear Solid. At a point early in the game, Solid Snake realizes that he has to contact Meryl, but he doesn't have her radio frequency and he doesn't know how to do so. Well, it turns out what you needed to do was find her code on the back of the PS1 packaging. In one of the screenshots on the game, it shows a codec conversation between Meryl and Snake, and the code is right there front and center that you need to take and enter into the game. It is 140.15. I've had that committed to memory forever. It's my Wi-Fi password. People hate it, believe me. But it was so cool, and it was just a really fun meta example of the game, acknowledging you going outside of the game and figuring out something for yourself. It's super creative, it's super charming, and it's just one of the many reasons why Metal Gear Solid is so special and different, but it also encapsulates just what we tried to do with this whole list and point out real cool stuff on video game boxes and packaging. From dedicated fans to crafty developers, there's so much fun stuff out there, and there's probably going to be more, so we're looking forward to it. These aren't the only examples, so we want to hear if you have any down in the comments. Let's talk about any of this hidden stuff at all. We want to hear from you. Now, if you enjoyed this video and had fun with us, clicking the like button is the best way you can help us out. We would really appreciate that. And if you're new, consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell because we put out videos every single day. But as always, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time.